Welcome to the Engineering and Operations Management Lunch and Learn webinar series. We are housed in the College of Engineering and in the Industrial Engineering Department, and those programs that we offer are a Master of Science in Operations Management, Engineering Management, and Engineering. We also have 5 graduate certificates in Project Management, Lean Six Sigma, Homeland Security, Operations Management, and Engineering Management. If you have any questions about those at the end of the presentation, we would also be happy to answer any questions that you may have. So again, welcome. My name is Karen Hickenbotham. I'll be moderating this session. We ask that you please save all questions until the end of the presentation, and we will be utilizing the chat box for those. This webinar is being recorded for your information, and it will be posted in the Scholar Works at UARC in our Operations Management collection of presentations. So again, let's go ahead and get started. Today's presenter, I'm happy to announce, is Kirk Michelson. He's an MSOM instructor with us. He is retired Navy Surface Warfare Officer, Government Acquisition Analyst. He is retired from Lockheed Martin Fellow and now owns his own consulting company. Kirk has been an instructor for the MSOM graduate program since 2015. As you can see, he has taught many courses for us, but of none other than why we are here today, which is our Excel guru. So we will go ahead and get started. I'm going to hand it over to Kirk. Kirk, thank you so much for all your time for this, and we can't wait to hear your presentation on tools and visualization techniques available to the support operations manager.
Thank you, Karen. And just to confirm, I'm showing recording paused on my screen. I don't know if it's just my screen or you already got the recording going.
Mine is showing that it's recording.
Good.
So
We'll just go.
I will check with that. If anybody else shows that it's paused, please chat me.
Okay. Thank you, Karen. And as Karen said, I'm an adjunct professor here with the MSOM program. I'm going to talk today about what you see in the title, tools and visualization techniques available to support the ops manager, and how we incorporated it into a new course. I'm going to talk, first of all, setting the stage on the operations manager, provide some example operations management questions, problems, and then I'm going to go into a little background of how the MSOM program already works with decision support tools, specifically Microsoft Office and Excel in the program. I'm going to bring in some questions from past students that are operations managers, ask me about if there are any tool or tools to do that, and how that all led to our new course, Advanced Decision Support Tools and Visualization for the Operations Manager. It'll be offered for the very first time here in a couple weeks on March 9th in our spring 8W2 term. And then how, after I go over a high-level overview, just going to hopefully tease you enough to signing up for it, but a high-level overview. And then I'm going to end up with something the MSOM leadership is working on with the paperwork, proposing a new decision models 2-course micro certificate with this new course will be part of. So let's go ahead and start that stage, setting that stage. I've been an operations manager, I've been a project manager, and I've been an analyst my entire career. You can see in the bullet some tasks I think most every operations manager must perform. I know I did. And if you look at the bullets, consider to yourself, are they familiar to you? Do you do them in your job? If so, how are you doing them? You got maybe some efficient tools to go do them, or maybe there's something else out there. So those are just to kind of set the stage for an ops manager. Now I want to go through some representative example operations management problems. Now they may not be in your operations field, but you can change a couple words and you may have similar problems. But I want to read these and go through them just to kind of set the stage as we go through this brief. You have a customer data in one file and a list of zip codes in another that are affected by winter storms. How can you get a visualization of which customers are most affected by the weather and then create a prioritized list of which customer to contact first? Another one is you do detailed customer complaint interviews with your largest accounts. How can you capture the complaint information in a structured manner, ensuring you don't miss any questions, you're consistent from customer to customer, and then readily create a chart showing the top 3 causes of complaints? Finally, You need to create something that all 5 locations of your company can use to quickly view sales, inventory, and issues. I know this next sentence from personal experience. Emailing a spreadsheet around results in too many versions, and you need a single version of the truth. So I'm just kind of setting the stage with these. I will bring them up at the end of the webinar and show you how we can actually solve those problems in this new course. I also want to provide a little background about Excel in the MSOM program currently. Um, as the MSOM program leadership has been developing this course, they understand the duties and responsibility of the operations manager. They also understand by talking with students that more and more organizations are buying their employees the Microsoft Office suite. So they're going to have Excel. Felt was important enough that we include Excel in the program. But those that you know the MSOM program know we have 8 weeks of content, and it's kind of hard teaching Excel when you need the whole 8 weeks to go ahead with the content. So it was determined that Excel would be one of the 4 prerequisite courses, but the only one that the other 3 can be validated, but this is the only one that every student must either take or pass a proficiency exam. So how do we come up with what's going to be included in this basic Excel course? Well, a few years back, we conducted a survey of all MSOM instructors, found out what they teach related to Excel, and then we took the things that are most commonly used throughout the program and include that in our basic Excel course. And kind of for comparison for you, as you learn about the advanced decision support tools, here's our prerequisite introduction to decision support tools course. We start out with basic Excel with some formatting and references. And I've had a lot of students over the 7 years I've been teaching this that have never seen Excel before. Plus, I've had students that are power users. So you get that range. So you want to start with the basics initially. We show how to do statistics in Excel. And that's a point I want to bring up. We don't talk about the theory. We talk about how to do it in Excel in our 8 weeks. Now, if they have, and particularly if they have a question on this, one of our other prerequisites is applied statistics. But here we show how to do these statistics in Excel. We come up with some basic charts that do pretty much what you need to do as a basic for ops manager. We talk about data query with if and or statements, count if, sum if, average if, do some basic lookups and some basic pivot tables. Probability and simulation, we introduce the uniform and normal distributions so we can create uniform and normal random numbers to do basic Monte Carlo simulations. In our analysis week, we introduce the concept of what if analysis. You have an equation, a function that gives you an answer. What if you can change one input? You can use goal seek. If you can change 2 inputs, you could use solver. And to prepare students for our finance courses, we talk about the time value of money functions, the net present value, future value, number of periods, and payment. So we kind of introduce that, and then we talk about sorting and filtering. Again, this is our Introduction to Decision Support Tools course, or Basic Excel. I want you to have this so you can, as a frame of reference when we go on to the advanced course. Okay, like I said, I've been teaching it for 7 years. I read all the course evaluations. And I know there's been discussion. Students have come back to me after they finish the curriculum and they says, hey, Kirk, what tool or tools can be used to do these kind of tasks? What about working with text, dates, and times? I like the charts that were given to us in basic Excel, but what other charts are available to visualize data that can maybe present my point better? How can I manage my time and budget? How can I work more efficiently for common frequent tasks so I can do other major tasks for my boss? I really like advanced data query. Are there any other capabilities? I really like data query. Are there any other what if and sensitivity analysis? Is there a way to provide a high level summary of information? And how do you ensure the work done by your team is ethical? Now that's a hard one and a fun one for us in this course. So getting together, the Excel instructors got together with the MSOM leadership and we started talking about this. And 1, with the questions our students had, 2, with the dramatic improvements Excel's had in the last 5 to 10 years. Like I said, I've been using it, or maybe I haven't said I've been using Excel since the mid 90s when I was stationed in the Pentagon, and the Pentagon adopted Microsoft. And so we stopped using WordPerfect, WordStar, DBase4, and Harvard Graphics, and just Excel, Word, and PowerPoint. So, but the last 5-10 years, it's really improved. We've also learned about Tableau is growing as a tool organizations use for business intelligence visualization. So with all that information, the leadership approved the development of a new advanced decision support tools and visualization for operations manager course. Now the course description is the 3 sub-bullets that you see here at the bottom of the slide. I just separated each sentence with a sub-bullet. The first sub-bullet covers pretty much all the questions the students have over the years for us. The second sub-bullet talks about the tools we're going to use, Excel and Tableau. And the last bullet, it's almost all, if not all, our graduate courses give practice communicating written and orally to senior stakeholders and decision makers. So we're continuing that in this course. So that's kind of setting the stage and background how we got there. Now let's provide a high-level overview of the course. Okay, operations managers will obtain, review, and analyze large data sets in their role. I know we put a large data set in our project. We have 5,000 rows and about 15 columns. But like one of the first things op managers need to do before they do any analysis, before they do any charts, is kind of do some data manipulation, get that data set ready to go. So some of the things we teach in this course are importing and cleaning data sets, finding and replacing data, moving, copying data, transposing the data to get it more workable, removing duplicate records, creating lists to select data. And we do this all through introducing text, date, time, information, and error functions. So we got a good starting place for them by working with that data set and getting it ready to use for what they need to use. You saw the question on there, what other charts are available? Just as reference again to the Intro to Decision Support Tools course, we go over the pie, line, bar, column, scatter plot, histogram, and Pareto chart. But we ask these other charts. You can see the full list on the right, and the top 4 screenshots on the left are just examples of some of the charts we present to the students, so they can increase their toolkit in their toolbox to be able to have more opportunities to present the data. And maybe one of these new charts will help present it better than the ones they had before. We also cover project management charts, a couple different ways to do Gantt charts, S-curves to do high-level overview budgets, and organization charts. Of course, you're going to say, hey, Kirk, Karen mentioned in one of the early slides that one of our 4 course certificates is project management. And our project management certificate is based on Project Management Institute's PMP, or Project Management Professional Body of Knowledge. But there are places, and in all my project management roles, I wasn't allowed to purchase MS Project. So for those that can't get that, because our certificate is great, but if you can't get that, can't get project, can't get the certificate, we're going to give you some backup measures to go ahead and create Gantt charts in this course. Okay, you have these common tasks, could be just basically tedious, that you do week after week, month after month. How can you save time by making things easier for you with your common frequent tasks? And that's the use of chart templates, and forms. We introduce this in the course. For example, with a chart template, and I just learned this recently, but you got an example here, and that's a top right screenshot where Excel will give you the opportunity to do a column chart. But then you got your manager, I want these colors, I want it 3D, I want this on the horizontal, I want this on the vertical axis, I want this font, I want this legend, here's where I want the legend. So it takes you 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes every time to set it up. Doing that week after week after week builds up time taken away that you could be doing other tasks. And if you have several charts you need to do this, you can create templates, which will save you time, so you don't have to go through that all the time, and all you have to do is enter the data. For templates and forms, one example here on the bottom left is creating a survey. You can go through, and we teach you how to create surveys. As you see you may not be able to read it, but in that top orange cell, it's got part-time, and we teach you how to do pull down lists so you can select, and everybody's selecting the same thing, like full time, part-time, hourly, etc. I know I've done in the past surveys. What organization you're from? Well, I used to work, I'm retired Lockheed Martin. There was Lockheed Martin Corporation, Lockheed Martin Aeronautics, Lockheed Martin Missile and Fire Control, etc., etc., etc. So it made it tough on analysis. I had to do some pre-work to sum it all together, to get everything together. Here you can tell them and focus on the type of answer you want. We also show them how to do check boxes, so you can go ahead and through that. And then you can do, after you have surveys done, it goes into a database and you can do analysis. As I mentioned, we have large database. Maybe I have someone in HR on the webinar today, and you deal in 10,000 record databases. And every week or two, you're adding 10, 15, 20 people. If you go take that data set and you just kind of scroll through, find the right one, you do a search, then you got to insert a row. It takes a lot of time to add those, but if you can create a form that you associated with that database, where you can just have all the information you want that you see in the example here, name, hire date, employee number, and department, go ahead and enter that. It will put it in the right place in the database, saving you that search time to go through here. So hopefully by the use of templates and forms, we can help save the ops manager some time. The question about, hey, I like data query, what else is available? Well, when we built the basic Excel, the intro decision support tool course, we had we determined that we couldn't get a textbook because the Excel techniques we wanted were 4 or 5 textbooks. So what we did is create a video database with 3-minute, 5-minute, 7-minute videos over particular techniques through LinkedIn Learning. And if we can't, we go to YouTube, but it's kind of like the students' textbook there for them. And even when we did that, it was in the videos, they said that most organizations like vertical lookup, even though we know there's some limitations, and it's going over horizontal lookup is not used that much anymore. Well, what Excel's done in the last few years is created new functions to overcome these limitations. First, they had by using the combination of index and match together. But then just in 2019, late 2019, they came up with the XLOOKUP function, which overcomes all the limitations of VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. So a lot easier to do lookups, especially with our large operations management data sets. For pivot tables in the basic course, we teach basically, okay, put a pivot table together, the sum of total sales by regions in the rows and years in the columns, so you can get some quick data. And we showed them how to, you want sum, average, max, min, how to change that value. But there's a lot more capability available for pivot tables to make the operations manager's job a lot easier. We can go ahead in this course and we're teaching how to do calculations within the pivot tables, how joining arrays together to create a pivot table from different sources, how you can highlight pivot table data with slicers and create pivot charts. The last two are just wow for me, if you will. I had to teach myself pivot charts way back when I worked for Lockheed by getting a How to Do a Pivot Chart for Dummies book before I knew all the capabilities available. But slicers are like filtering, and there's an example in that bottom screenshot. And you see on the right, that's a slicer, and it's got type as a variable, and you can select from it list, photo, status, and video. Well, the blue is highlighted what's selected, and the link and photo selected, and you can see the pivot table on the left, only link and photo are showing. So you create one pivot table, and if you got lots of different variables in your data set, you can create slicers for each one, and then you can do all these different combinations and take a look at, and you can, if your manager likes to do that, you can send the file with the slicers to them, and they can go ahead and create all these combinations. And then every time you select your slicer, the pivot table changes. So the advantage here is you don't have to create a new pivot table each time. You create the master one, and then you can do all these what ifs, if you will, by looking at with slicers. And also, you can create a chart directly with a pivot table that's tied to the pivot table. So if you change the pivot table, the pivot chart, as they're called, will change, you see in the middle. So a lot more capability for the operations manager than the basic pivot tables we teach in the intro course. We always got to talk about, when we're talking decision support tools, data, probability analysis. As y'all probably know, there's 4 types of data: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. Each one are a little bit different. You can do different things with each one. And in our large operations management data sets, we probably have all 4 types of data. Well, we teach you in there in the course, and the students have a case study on this. Which ones can you do addition? Which ones can you do multiplication on? Which ones can you do statistics like mean, median, and mode? And it's not all of them. They should be aware of that, especially if they're got that big data set and they started out, you saw in the beginning, with doing a little data manipulation. Then what can they do with the data? I mentioned in the intro course, we introduced normal and uniform distributions. Here we're adding on to do some additional analysis: Poisson, exponential, and binomial distributions. Plus, we didn't cover in the intro course percentiles and quartiles. And especially, it'll be nice if you have a data set and you have your HR and you've got their annual salary. You want to find out what the 30th percentile is. You can do it on a large data set with the percentile functions. The next bullet is probably my favorite and new thing that I've learned. I wish I had this when I was going through my master's program, but they've really changed the logic math statements. They've added maximum and minimum in it, but now the new functions are max ifs with an S, min ifs, average ifs, sum ifs, and count ifs. And in the original count if, sum if, and average if, you could take a look at data in a data sheet, find which areas you want to check, and then you could count those for count if. But for sum if and average if, you can go to another column and get the average or sum of data that are respective to what you went in to look for. With these, you can put many different areas into. You could, if you've got several different areas you want to maybe find out, check for department, check for how many years they've been with the company, check for what their bonus, whatever the database has in it. You can put several things to check in the statement. So you got this large 10,000 record data set. You can get of your conditions you input, you check for through these new logic math functions. You can get the overall max, the overall min, average, sum, etc. So it really gives you a lot more capability doing detailed analysis. And as an operations analyst from my background and career, I love it. It's just great. And then we're adding a little bit more to the what if, where we started with the goal seek and the solver in the intro course. We're adding in 1- and 2-way data tables and scenario manager. An example I've got here of a 2-way data table. If you're you're considering purchasing a house and you've got the time value of money function for payment, and you can use that, and you can use, okay, what's the interest going to be? Maybe you've got 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, all the way up to 7 for interest rates along the column headers. And on the row headers, you've got how much you want to spend for the house, from 300,000 to 900,000. And so you say, well, what if the interest is this and I find a house that's this? What's my monthly statement going to be? So it's a way you can take a look at some what if analysis with the additional capabilities within Excel. Okay, I mentioned in the new course description, and the fact is one of the other tools that we'll be using is Tableau. And Tableau, for those that may not be familiar with it, it's being used more and more for visual analytics platforms for business intelligence. It was developed to help users see and understand data. So in the course, in the beginning of the course, we introduce them to Tableau. We show them how to connect the data sources, how to connect data sets. Then we move in how to do basic statistics, how to do charts. We go into one of the last weeks of the course, a case study, comparing and contrasting Excel and Tableau for doing basic capabilities. But there's one thing, and as you heard me say, I've been playing with Excel for a while, that I just don't know if Excel does it. I haven't seen it. But Tableau, it's just the coolest thing, I think. You can visualize your data geographically if you're provided city, state, or zip code. And what it is you got logistics or supply streams, distribution centers. You can go ahead and put those on a map, and you can check routing. You can do a lot of things. And with Tableau, it allows you to connect to public sources. If you want to go ahead and highlight populations for your cities, counties, and states, or your median age for areas, and it will color it appropriately. So it really helps you visualize when you're trying to look at something geographically. So I personally, as an Excel guy, Excel geek, if you will, I like the fact that it's added in this geographic way to look at, to visualize data, which is all part of our program, tools and visualizations. The last week before finals, we talk about putting everything they've learned together and creating interactive on-demand dashboards. And here you see, and we do both for Excel and Tableau. And on the left is an example of an Excel one. On the right is a Tableau one. And it's basically, you can put in your most critical charts, any data tables. As you see in the Excel one on the left, there's a little gray cell. I can't read it, but that's where a pull down menu is. And so you can select different things to allow it to change, as long as the data behind is kept up to date. As an operation manager, you'd be keeping that up to date. And instead of your boss, a couple stakeholders, a decision maker calling you, hey, Kirk, how do you do such and such? Or with our data set, what are the results from here? You can put it on a link and tell them, how to use it, and then they can go do it for themselves, saving you time. But this is always could be up to date, and it's interactive on-demand dashboards. And we introduce the students to do this in the 7th week, right before the finals. Finally, one of the 7 MSOM program outcomes is assess legal, regulatory, professional, and ethical, organizational, and individual responsibilities. In this course, there are 2 ethics team assignments. We do one the last week before the midterm, and then the last week before the final. And they can work together on teams, because sometimes ethics is a little hard to understand. Maybe it's better working together as a team. But we're going to want them to better understand ethical data research, ethical analysis, and ethical communication. So I have a book here that we I have as a required textbook for our week 3 team ethics team assignment. It's How to Lie with Statistics. It's been around since the 60s. I think the current version when I got it was from the 80s. And I even saw this when I was getting my grad degree at the Naval Postgraduate School on the shelf in the bookstore, not for my class, but for other classes. But there's a lot of valuable information in the text. It's a quick read, in just a few hours, but it shows you what people have done to not tell the entire story. So they're either lying with statistics. So what we've done for this first one, the instructors, we've created this memo that has like those half-truths, unethical things and that in, that somehow the operations manager has sent to the CEO. I mean, the operations manager's team has sent to the CEO without going through the operations manager. So the team acting as the operations manager, they've got to figure out what was not presented correctly, what's unethical. They have to update the memo, so part of our written communications, to send to the CEO. And then they got to develop a video and PowerPoint presentation to explain to their manager what was wrong in the original, what was right, and what they did about it. So that gets them a little bit into ethics with Excel. In the second one, it's ethics in Excel. And it's basically routing information, and you're giving some maybe half-truths and issues and maybe unethical statements. And so instead of having something to take from, the team has to take everything they have to be available and create an ethical analysis to give to their decision maker. So we wanted to bring it in because we thought it was good to include, especially in an advanced graduate course like this is. So that's a high-level overview. Now let's go and kind of bring up these operations management problems that I introduced early on. And in the first one, it's 2 databases with zip codes. We learn about in the course combining databases in both Excel and Tableau. We learn about new data query functions that we could use to find the customers. And then we also learn about plotting maps in Tableau. So we can answer that type of problem after having this course. The second one is customer complaints. We will teach them how to do surveys with templates and forms. And then we have also expanded their toolbox with not only the charts available from the intro course, but now in this advanced course, some additional charts to use. And then finally says you need something that all 5 locations of your company, they'll get that in dashboards, as I just mentioned that a couple weeks ago. So before I end, I want to bring up one thing, and the MSOM leadership are in progress of requesting this. It's a 2-course decision models micro certificate. It's with the new course that I just gave you an overview on in our existing decision models course. If you don't know what's in our decision models course, I took the course description that's online and separated the sentences into bullets so you can read that. And it's proposed new, so you can either come into take the advanced decision support tools as part of the overall program or part of this 2-course micro certificate. And because it hasn't been fully approved yet, I want to read the description to you so you can understand the value this new course gets to this certificate. Okay, here goes. Making good data-driven decisions is a key competitive advantage and builds on 2 key skills: how to frame a decision process and how to assemble the data it needs to run properly. Most operations management decisions are extremely complex, involving multiple stakeholders, many variables, and much uncertainty. Yet such complex environments require decisions to be made well. And once a decision is correctly framed, it needs the correct input parameters. The right input data must be gathered from disparate sources a lot of times. For example, point of sale systems, customer systems, human resource data, financial data, inventory levels, and could even weather forecasts, especially if you're doing logistics and routing. The explosion of big data has simultaneously made lots of data available, and very few people are currently properly trained in what to do with it. This 2-course decision models micro certificate will provide both the practical skills to pull the data together and then the theoretical knowledge to know how to use it to make the optimal decision. So I know that's very quick, and we only had just a little time, and I just wanted to introduce you, tease you. I hope it's a good enough tease that you'd want to, if you're in the program, to take the course. If you're not in the program, to enter the program, or when we get the micro certificate available. Okay, I have the wrong name. I see from Greg, decision support for operations managers. Still the same 2 courses, but thanks for that correction there, Greg. Greg is my director, so I'm already in trouble. But anyway, wanted to give you an overview of our new advanced decision support tools and visualization for operations managers. I want to thank everybody for listening. I tend to talk fast. I hope I slowed up enough. And just, hey, Kirk, when's this going to be offered? Again, first time it's offered is next term, starting on 9 March in the spring 8W2 term. And depending on how many attendees we get, debating on perhaps in the 8W2 terms in both the fall and spring semesters. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Karen for the question and answer period.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Kirk. Again, we want to thank Kirk for his time today. We're going to stick around for some questions. And if you want to utilize the chat box, please do. We'll give you a few moments to gather your thoughts and maybe review kind of what Kirk talked about. That was a lot of information, but I know that this is a very popular topic. We got a very overwhelming response for it of people that wanting to know more about it and how to learn more about it. So again, thanks, Kirk. We'll stick around here for a moment, but While folks are kind of formulating their questions, we just want to let you know a little bit about our programs, about kind of what Kirk talked about and how we implement these courses into our curriculum. Operations management, we often get asked, what is operations management? Well, it's to lead and manage business operations as well as government operations to effectively create and deliver products and services. This includes our 10 OM decisions, which is process design, location, layout, supply chain, inventory, scheduling, production, and many, many more. We often always get asked, what is engineering management? What is the difference? And a little tease here, our illustrious leader will be giving a webinar next month on the difference between operations and engineering management. So more to come on that. But engineering management leads a technical workforce to develop new products and services to achieve strategic objectives. So basically, it provides a bridge from engineering to managers. And we often like to tell people, why MSOM or MSEM? Our motto is learn it today and use it tomorrow. And there are many folks online that can speak to that. A lot of our students, if you read some of our testimonials on our social media, will say, I read a chapter last night, or I was online and listened to this lecture, and I was able to walk into my boss's office the next day and start suggesting ideas or things that I wanted to implement. So learn it today, use it tomorrow is definitely the model that we follow. We are a 100% online program, both MSOM and the EM program. Also, no thesis is required. You can learn from professors with current and relevant expertise. We are a flexible degree plan. Both programs only require 10 graduate courses. And then Kirk mentioned briefly about one of our graduate certificates, project management. We have 4 others we can discuss if you're interested. But you can earn a graduate certificate concurrently without taking any extra courses with your master's degree. But we'll speak more about those in just a second. And there is no out-of-state tuition for anyone. So for a total 3-hour class can start anywhere from just over $1,000. Of course, additional fees could apply. The admission requirements, in case anyone is interested, for the MSOM or MSEM, just a little different. For the OM degree, we take any bachelor's degree from an accredited institution with no GRE with a 2.5 GPA or above will be considered. For the engineering management, we do require a BS in engineering from an ABET accredited school with a 3.0 or better, but of course, anyone with a 2.5 or above can be considered on a case-by-case basis. So those graduate certificates we were talking about, we have project management, Lean Six Sigma, and Homeland Security. And then our 2 newbies to the group, we just added a 4-course certificate for operations management and engineering management. So please chat us and let us know if you have any questions about those. Those graduate certificates that I mentioned, they only are 4 classes. You can obtain those again, like I mentioned earlier, as part of your master's degree. They will double count as electives or required core course, or it can be completed as a standalone program. You'll need a 2.5 GPA for admissions with no GRE required. And then if you decide to move on to a master's degree, then of course that is a very easy transition into an MS program. So we want to just, again, tease that our next webinar is going to be on March 9th. It's going to be presented by Dr. Greg Parnell, and it's going to be discussing operations management and engineering management. And he's also going to speak to what Kirk mentioned earlier about micro certificates and the graduate certificates and how all those can work together. So what we want to do is switch back over to our chat. I'm going to leave this information up on everybody's screen. This is contact information on how to get a hold of us, how to answer any questions. We've got 2 brand new websites that we're very proud of. You can check those out. Lots of information on those, and those are on your screen as well. So we'll go ahead and switch back over to the chat here. We're going to start with Desiree. It says, will this class, count toward one of our elective credits for MSOM? So I am going to refer over to Carol Altum. She is our Assistant Director over Student Services. So Carol, would you like to address Desiree's question, please? Sorry to catch you off guard if I did. Carol may not be on or may not be able to hear me. So Desiree, yes, those courses will count as electives, and you can certainly email us or contact one of the advisors for additional information on what elective specifically will count for the program.
Thank you, Karen.
Nope,
Sorry, you
there
did
you
catch
are.
me off guard. Yes.
That's okay. I did catch you off guard. That's okay. Do you have anything to add to Desiree as far as how this class maybe will count towards an elective?
No, I think you got it all answered.
Okay, great.
Thanks.
Kirk, I see that you have a comment about Power BI versus Tableau.
Right,
You gonna
and
jump in here?
yeah, Greg had asked me about this before, and I forgot to bring it up in the webinar. Is we were initially given Tableau to look at for a visualizations for business intelligence. We learned about Power BI later and kind of started as we were working the course. A lot of similarities, there are a few differences, but we kept Tableau in the course. But to help those organizations who may be using Power BI in our video database, we have an extra worksheet, and I went to LinkedIn Learning and I got like 30 or 40 or 50, I can't remember how many there were, videos on there. So if you have Power BI at your organization, there's some videos to help you out.
Good, thank you so much. Daniel's online. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us today. And I'm gonna go ahead and see if Carrie Beam is available here, because I'm gonna give her 30 seconds of fame here. She's got tons of information and she's wonderful to hear speak. So did you want to address Daniel's question as far as what is the mode of teaching this class, and will there be class times? And I'll let you and Kirk kind of address that one for us.
You are so kind. Am I allowed to say the mode of teaching is awesome? Because it is. But no, to be a little bit more specific, this is a fully online class. And Kirk, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is generally asynchronous, which means as a student, you can view the lecture videos and complete the homework anytime in the course week that works for your schedule. And you can always reach out to the instructor and book office hours if you need them.
That is correct. And there are no planned live lessons I have in some of my other courses. I see a couple of my current students online today. But if there's enough students that have questions on it, I'll do some ad hoc Zoom sessions to go with it.
Yeah, and to which I'll also add, we have some new technology to help grade all this Excel homework. So if you're a student in this class, you'll be able to resubmit your homework as many times as you need during that week and see the feedback on it, and you can keep going until you get 100%. So we want to support learning by repetition, and in a perfect world, everybody would have 100% every week.
And the feedback's within a minute or two, not like me now in basic Excel. I grade every morning, so they might have to wait 24 hours. It comes pretty much immediately.
Yeah, so we don't just want training wheels on y'all while you learn Excel. We want you to have the experience of being like on one of those little boats in the It's a Small World ride at Disneyland with like the beverage in your hand and like the bright shiny things coming around.
Great, thank you for that. Yes, we do have a lot of current students that I know did express interest in this course. I know we have several non-current students who maybe are thinking about one of our certificates, or maybe just taking one of these classes. Yes, sir.
I have one that was sent to me as a direct message. I won't mention the name, but I think it's worthwhile to let everybody know. It says, can you detail the modes of instruction in addition to the text? What is the expected time per week on deliverables? We kind of talked about modes. It's asynchronous. We've got the video database if we need to have additional sessions, and the instructors are always available if you have questions on there. It's pretty much on your own learning, like any online asynchronous course. And the expected time per week, and this is in our course or expectations overview brief, that in a 3-hour course for a 16-week semester, it's about but we're doing this 3-hour course in 6 hours in 8 weeks. So it's like a 6-hour course, and it's recommended 2 to 3 hours per study per week. So it's about 12 to 18 hours of studies, kind of general. I think I got those numbers right, Carrie, didn't I? Yeah.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Kirk. Like I was saying, we have some students who may just be thinking about this course. So please, with our information on the screen there, reach out to us, ask us any questions you might have. We've got some advisors online here as well. If you have any questions, please join the conversation in our chat. But Carrie, Kirk, is there anything else that you can think of that may be, pertinent to, the topic that we're on today?
Carrie, go ahead first.
So for me, the big part I would like to toss out is to differentiate between an investment and an expense. And an expense is putting time and resources into something that's going to go down in value. And an investment is putting time and resources into something that's going to go up in value. If you need to make better decisions and if you need to work with Excel at work, those 12 to 18 hours a week for 8 weeks, that investment will pay itself back many, many times in the immediate next couple of years of your career. So you will learn it today, use it tomorrow.
And for me, as my current basic Excel and past basic Excel students know, I'm an Excel geek. I wish I had this information when I was going to graduate school, and that I think it's a lot of information, and I could see the different tasks I've had over my career, where if I would have had the Excel capability or would have known about it, I could have saved time to work on other projects and stuff like that. Of course, as you know, when you do projects well, you get assigned more, but it just, to me, it's a lot of fun, and I look forward to be one of the instructors teaching it, and I hope it interests a lot of folks here. But no, thank you again for listening.
Thank you for joining us today. And again, please reach out to us, and everyone who did register and or attended today's webinar will receive an email with the video link and some other information to view at your leisure, or to maybe share with your friends or colleagues that may be interested and weren't able to sign up today. So thank you again, Kirk. Thank you, Carrie, for, as always, for jumping in with great information. We love hearing from you. And thank everybody again for joining us today. Everyone have a good day.